You can also now watch Packard Pokes At on Atheism TV at youtube.com/atheismtv and, as always, on youtube.com/Packard Pokes At. Come to the live show and chat with us on Friday nights at 9 p.m. Central Time on vonlive.tv/Packard Pokes At. See you there!
Do you really like Packard Pokes At and want to promote the show? Then go to cafepress.com/Packard Pokes At. There are hundreds of items available, including hats, shirts, hoodies, and so much more. Every purchase from cafepress.com/Packard Pokes At helps support the show. Your Packard Pokes At coffee mug is waiting for you.
Do you want to stream Packard Pokes At on your iPhone or BlackBerry? Download Stitcher free today at Stitcher.com. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to radio.
You're on in 3, 2, 1.
This is Packard Pokes At, and I'm poking at your news. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to another fine edition of Packard Pokes At. I am your immutable and unmutable host, Packard Sonic. And joining me tonight from the far East Coast is Joe Unseen.
Kill.
Joe, you've been into the mushrooms again, haven't you?
It's Friday the 13th.
Oh, is it? Oh, it is. Is it? It is, isn't it?
Which means we're going to have absolutely no technical problems on this show.
No.
and your daughter wasn't kidding. Your hair is spiky. My goodness. You do look like Guy Fieri.
Hey, it's Friday the 13th. You know, it kind of fits the motif, you know. And joining me from the Mitt, which is Michigan, is Dave, you're damned.
Jason Voorhees is my bitch.
If you say so, I have no idea who the hell you're talking about, but I'll trust you on that.
Friday the 13th, come on.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, I didn't watch it in the movies, so all I know is that...
There's been about 100 of those movies.
Are you talking about the guy who came in with the hockey mask? Are you talking? Oh, was his name?
Yeah, the guy who always walks and never runs, therefore I can outrun him every time.
Oh, well, see, I didn't know the guy's name. Like I said, I never watched it in the movie, so it really meant nothing to me when you said it. So, but anyway, we got a great show for you tonight, so let's get going for our first topic for this evening.
Building a better future, science and technology.
As we get older, they say you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Well, there's a new study out that basically takes older people and they get them to play video games. And these people of the older generation, when they play video games, they actually retain a lot of the information that they learned. So they are showing that you can teach an old dog new tricks. So basically you take that old saying and you can chuck it out the window. They took a multitasking 3D video game and it helped some of the older adults that show neurological activity similar to much younger adults, and it could lead researchers to better understanding the plasticity of the older brain. Joe, your thoughts?
Yeah, Dave found this article for us, and I think it's fascinating. These researchers have demonstrated that older human brains are still capable of learning and adapting new skill sets, and then, as you mentioned, they showed that these people can retain some of this knowledge and ability when they were tested again many months later.
Mm-hmm.
And they found that these learning new things actually translates into them being a little bit more able with other things in their life, other tasks that they have, because they're training their brains to multitask, which tends to diminish with age.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So now I have revised my personal plan for aging. I'm going to not only eat right and get some exercise, but I'm also going to play lots of Minecraft.
Minecraft for the win.
Right. The graphics are so simple, it'll remind me of my childhood, so I'll just be sitting there when I'm 80 like, I'm mining diamonds, I'm going to build a Death Star.
Hey, there's something I hadn't thought of building in there. Anyway. Dave, your thoughts?
Oh, well, this story actually reminds me of another story that I recently read that was about how first-person shooter games improve spatial recognition in everyone, really.
Yep.
So what I had read, basically, I work in the music industry, so I was trying to find evidence that music is beneficial for the brain, right?
Yes.
And music is beneficial for the brain. Although what I found when I was doing this research, to my I suppose discredit as a musician, is that more beneficial than music is playing first-person shooter games. Really, first-person shooter games, they may be violent, they may be this and that, but they do increase your ability to have spatial recognition.
Oh, yeah. And it's also said here that they took people that are between the age of 60 to 85-year-old players. They took their game, that were able to improve their gaming performance even later on, in some cases even surpassing the 20-something-year-olds at their initial attempts on the games. So
yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, that's the whole point of this whole article, is that we want to discredit video games as a society and say, like, video games cause this problem and that problem and this problem and that problem. But realistically, video games have very beneficial. I mean, they're very beneficial when it comes down to it. I mean, there are things about them, not all video games, but certain ones.
No, actually, you're right. Not all video games, but I mean, the ones that make you have to think of what's going to happen next. You're retaining certain aspects and certain logic of how the game is actually played out. So, like, for example, you take a simple game like Donkey Kong. You have to try to remember, I have to press now to jump over the barrel, and I have to climb the ladder. I mean, that's a very old game. I mean, it's from when I was in my 20s, actually teens and 20s, but it's still a game that would show you things like that. I mean, and if you take
I don't know
like
that Donkey Kong is the best example, though. I mean, I think that.
Well, think about it. If for Donkey Kong, you have to climb ladders. You have to know when the barrels are going to come down, where they're going to hit. You're right. I mean, there is something about that. But I'm talking about the whole spatial recognition of having you are the character that, like, the games where the gun is in front of you as the person that you have to recognize. I wasn't around you. Right. I wasn't so much worried about spatial. Well, in some cases you could do spatial relations with that, because you have to know when to jump. Because if you jump too soon, you hit the barrel. You jump too late, the barrel hits you. You know, there's some spatial recognition. I mean, yes, it's in 2D. It's not like Black Ops 2 or Black Ops, like, where you have to know exactly where you're pointing at. Or a first-person shooter.
I'll make fun of my friends who play Black Ops all the time, over and over again.
But I play Black Ops all the time.
As a matter of fact, I was helping
I'm going to start making fun of you for that. But realistically,
Joe has no life anymore. He just plays Black Ops and does this show. I mean,
that's pretty much it.
Realistically, there is a certain benefit that comes from that, and that benefit that comes from that is good for young people. It's good for old people. It's good for people of all ages. Really, I mean, there may be some arguments against the benefit, but at the same time, there is scientific evidence that there is benefit that comes from it.
Yeah. Anyway, in the long and short of this, so all those naysayers out there who think video games bring nothing to the table as far as with our humanity or whatever, they're bringing a lot more to the table than just fun and entertainment. Let's get on to the next topic for this evening.
Isn't that illegal?
No, it's not.
It's illegal.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it isn't.
You know, the old myth that if you get into a situation and someone goes, oh, well, I'm not really a cop. And they go, oh, well, he didn't identify himself as a cop. So therefore, later on, I can say, hey, they illegally busted me. Well, that's a total flat-ass lie. So the police are allowed to lie. Wow! Imagine that. So when someone says that they're not a cop, they might be... Joe, your thoughts?
Yeah, I always ask the prostitutes if they're cops, and they always say no, and I've been arrested like 3 times. So, no, the cops do not have to tell you that they are cops.
Joe, you just stole my goddamn joke.
I'm joking?
I've had to bail him out at least twice so far, so hey.
Yeah.
But
the 3rd time he just left me there.
Yes.
But, Snopes.com has a little write-up on this, and even Cracked mentions it in an article titled 7 Bullshit Police Myths Everyone Believes Thanks to the Movies, which I'm sure both of you happened across.
Actually, I did. That's actually one of the things I came up with.
And, the reality is cops can lie. There's no law prohibiting them from lying, and They lie all the time. I've had
yeah.
cops lie to my face. I've seen cops lie to judges in court. They just do it. And if it was legally required for a cop to positively identify himself every time they're asked directly, "Are you a cop?" there would be no such thing as stings or undercover work.
Right.
It just would be pointless.
Right. But now there are some internal regulations that require officers to identify themselves when asked by either their name or their badge number. So if they're wearing a badge, like a uniformed officer, if you ask him his name and his badge number, or if they have already identified themselves as a police officer, they have to give you that information. So they can't just say, I'm a cop, but I'm not going to give you that information. No, by that point, they've already crossed that line. They have to give up that information. Dave, your thoughts?
Oh, boy.
Do the hooker joke anyway.
Yeah, all right. Hooker jokes? Is that what we're doing? That's the topic?
No, we're doing undercover cop myths.
No, I know. I had intended to speak with my ex-brother-in-law, who was an undercover officer, who I've discussed this sort of stuff with him in the past. However, I was not able to contact him in the past 2 days. But realistically, the whole ordeal that we're talking about is just absurd to think that a police officer would not be able to lie.
Yeah. They equate, once you put on the uniform, you're like automatically like, I hate to go all Star Trek here, but you become a Vulcan or a Starfleet officer, and it's like, you're above that. You're not supposed to lie. Fuck that. Cops are human beings, and they are allowed to lie.
It doesn't matter that they're human beings or if they're not. I mean, the question is as to whether or not it's legal for them to do that.
Yeah.
And the truth of the matter is that if it were illegal for them to lie, then they'd be unable to arrest half the people that they do.
Oh, yeah. They also say things like, yeah, your buddy's giving you up, and they're going to tell everything they are on you. You know, they're going to lie to you.
Exactly.
It's a bullshit thing out there. So if you don't think that for any reason that a cop cannot lie because you said, hey, are you a cop? And if they say, no, man, I'm not a cop. Unless you know them real well, take your merchandise. You might want to go somewhere else. The plain and simple fact is, can a cop lie? Yes, absolutely. Anyway, let's get on to our next topic for this evening. And tonight we are doing logical fallacies. I kind of prefaced what a logical fallacy was last week. So tonight we're going to be covering not one, but we're going to cover two logical fallacies. Tonight we're going to be doing the Texas Sharpshooter Fallacy and special pleading. Let me get a preface on this. The Texas Sharpshooter Fallacy is like when you have a set of data points and you go, oh, well, I like this one and this one and this one, and this is what and this one says this is exactly what I wanted to say. That would be the Texas Sharpshooter logical fallacy. Let's say I say that all these people over in this one country have great health, and because my soda drink sells over there, let's say I'm a great corporation that sells soda, and since my soda corporation sells soda over there, then all these countries that are healthy, I can say that those countries are healthy because my soda's there. That's sharpshooting. Now, the other one is special pleading. Now, basically, let's say I have magical powers and I can read your mind. But when you say, oh, you proved I can't, oh, well, you just have to believe I can, and then I can. That would be special pleading. So we're going to get the timer started, and the timer is right here. There it is. And we're going to start the timer now. Dave, your thoughts?
Oh, boy. I mean, both of these are good logical fallacies to talk about.
Yes.
Texas Sharpshooter is... I think that they're both very much related, actually.
Mm-hmm.
Both Texas Sharpshooter and special pleading are very related. Mm-hmm. Because when I get in religious debates with people, I find that oftentimes people will say, well, religion does good. Mm-hmm. And then they'll refer to, well, American Christianity does all these good things. But then they neglect to talk about in the Middle East and different places in the world that there are other religions that are doing terrible things. Mm-hmm. So they're using a Texas Sharpshooter argument to say that to say that because this religion in this place is doing something good, then religion in itself is something that should be respected and should be good. At the same time, special pleading also relates to that, because oftentimes they say that Christianity itself is... see, I'm failing here. Christianity itself is something that should be respected because it does good things.
Right.
And therefore, they're making a special pleading thing while they say that religion should be respected. But my religion should be respected more because of the good things that it does in this specific place. So then you've got both Texas Sharpshooter and special pleading at the same time.
Right, exactly. And those two pretty much go hand in hand.
I believe that they very much do.
Yes. Joe, your thoughts?
Yeah, as far as the Texas Sharpshooter Fallacy, I'd imagine that's one of your favorites, Packard, because I've noticed that you like to point out false causes in arguments.
Oh yes, I like doing that. I had to pull out a lot of ones like that just today. As a matter of fact, I was having a conversation with somebody over Obamacare, and I was like, "You're using that fallacy." Actually, he was using several different fallacies there, saying, "Well, everybody loses their job if the Obamacare goes through because of this." It's like he was doing a slippery slope, and he was using data points that didn't exist, and so, well, it means this and this and this. It's like, no, that's not that at all. So,
right. I was trying to find a good example of the Sharpshooter Fallacy, and I found one on Rational Wiki. That I thought was kind of useful, and it says that creationists and intelligent design arguments claim that the chances of a protein molecule forming randomly or a cell forming randomly via abiogenesis or the universe forming randomly into what we see today is incredibly low and thus must have been designed. This argument is extremely faulty, and it doesn't acknowledge that the physical processes are not random, but they are guided by the laws of physics, chemistry, and eventually biology and evolution via variation and natural selection. And I thought, wow, I wish I had read that like a year and a half ago, because that's really well put. And that's all I got to say about that one. The other one, special pleading, part of special pleading is that the person committing this fallacy makes an exception when their claim is shown to be false.
right.
What comes to mind with that is when someone says the universe has a creator because you can't get something from nothing. But then they go on to say, but then we ask, well, then what created your creator? And they reply, well, the creator was eternal and needed no creation.
Oh yeah, I would love coming across that one. It's like, oh well, everybody thinks needed a creator, but our God doesn't need a creator.
Best example,
and that's
ever.
That's the best. It's special pleading right there.
This is special pleading right there. They've exempted their argument from what they're trying to say to make it fit their claim, and it just doesn't work.
Right, and it also fits in there. It also fits in the Texas Sharpshooter argument there, because they'll say, oh, because life exists on the planet, then therefore God exists. No, that's
a really good point.
Yeah, it's like, where do you come up with that one? It's like that's the classic Texas Sharpshooter. I mean, come on now. Anybody else had any thoughts on this? We have about 2 minutes left.
No, I really don't. I mean, I think that Joe really hit the nail on the head when he was talking about that the special pleading example that he gave.
Yeah,
that's the one that I encountered the most, and I feel that it's just
give us an example of one that you've come across, Dave.
What's that?
Give us a good example of one you've come across.
No, that's what Joe said is the example that I come across the most.
Oh, okay, because God is always been eternal. Yeah, that would be the special pleading. But I mean, have you come across a Texas Sharpshooter one yourself personally? You were having a debate with some anti-vaxxers tonight.
Not as often. I feel that the special pleading argument comes up a lot more often than Texas Sharpshooter.
Yeah, but I was thinking, tonight you were saying you were talking to the anti-vaxxers. Now, right there, the fact is, that they're talking about, this one means there's autism, and this one probably means autism too, and then that'd be taking a bunch of data points too. That would be a Texas Sharpshooter too, because then they're basing their conclusion starting with the premise of, hey, this causes autism, and
It can be, but that's much more easily explained by causation versus correlation.
Right, I understand that, but I mean that's still their logical fallacy of them using that logical fallacy on that.
Well, sure, and it's the same thing that people who are climate change deniers do, where they point to one thing and they point to the evidence, or they point to, rather, not the evidence, but the point, and then they correlate all of their evidence around that point.
Right.
It's the same thing that people do for God. I mean, it's the same thing that people do for all of those things.
Yeah, my daughter wants to get the last 30 seconds in here.
Please.
I believe another Texas Sharpshooter one would be like, video game violence causes violence in America. Like, students who go shooting up schools and they do it because they played violent video games. I believe that would be another one. Wouldn't it?
I think that's more special pleading, actually.
Oh, well, okay, then special pleading, I think that one would be.
Well said, Alex.
But yeah, those are two great fallacies, and we'll have a couple more next week, so be sure you tune in next week. And if you have a comment on this, leave it in the comment section here below. We'd love to hear your comments. Anyways, let's get on to our next topic for this evening.
Fly me to the moon, let me play among the stars. Let me see what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars.
I could listen to that song all day. Tonight's Did You Know They Were an Atheist? Tonight we're going to go to the political realm when we're diving in deep. And I've got my waders on because anytime you walk into the political arena, you come out smelling like, not like a rose, but full of shit. But but anyway, that notwithstanding, the one person who's not full of shit is Barney Frank. Barney Frank was born in 1940 rather. He was born in March 31st. The American politician. He served as a member of U.S. House of Representatives of Massachusetts from 81 to 2013 for the Democratic Party. He served as a chairman for the House of Financial Services Committee and came out later as gay and a guest commentator on Rachel Maddow's show quite often. And he is very well spoken and a straightforward person. Joe, your thoughts?
Yeah, I only this week learned that Barney Frank was an atheist. I knew who he was from seeing him on TV. He's on the Rachel Maddow show a lot, or at least he was. And so today I did a little bit of reading, and I learned that he was involved in a controversy back in the 80s when I guess he paid a male prostitute to be his live-in assistant and chauffeur and all these and housekeeper, and used his congressional office to get rid of this guy's parking tickets.
Uh-oh.
And eventually he kicked the guy out of the house, but then the guy tried to sell the story to the media and eventually just gave the story away to the media. And so Barney Frank was a stand-up guy. He went to Congress. He said, have them investigate me so that the record can be set straight. So they investigated him. They found that he did nothing wrong other than the parking ticket thing. He did nothing illegal. He can hire an assistant if he wants to.
That's right.
So there was a Republican in Congress named Larry Craig who really spearheaded this effort to try and punish him for this. He wanted him kicked out of Congress and all this other stuff. Well, nothing happened. I mean, they kind of reprimanded him for the parking ticket thing, but after that it was a done deal, and he kept getting reelected. He became very popular. He was reelected by wide margins by the people of Massachusetts. They loved him. He was a good congressman. But that Republican congressman that tried to get rid of him back in the 80s, Larry Craig, is the same guy who in 2007 was arrested for trying to solicit sex in a men's room.
Oh, you mean Mr. I got a wide stance.
Yeah, pushing his foot underneath the stall or whatever that is.
He was tapping his foot. Hey, buddy, you want to come
I'm
on
still
over here?
confused by that. What is his foot touched mine, and that meant he wanted sex? I don't know. But but Barney Frank came right out and he was like, he's a hypocrite. Look at that.
Yep. Well, most of these anti-gay people are often hypocrites. They always end up coming out, oh, well, I was gay the whole time. Well, I guess I really should have been that way.
The most homophobic people are the ones who are secretly gay.
Oh, absolutely.
Or struggling with it on some deep down level.
Absolutely. I quite agree. And that's where the research actually shows, too. So, and that's just not me just saying it. So go, if you don't believe me, go look it up. There's a little thing called Google. Try it. Dave, your thoughts?
Oh, well, I think that it is patently absurd that he was able to come out as a gay man while he was in office. and yet had to wait until he was out of office to come out as an atheist.
Yeah, that just goes to show you where the country is as far as atheism and gay people. Gay people actually have a leg up on us right now.
Well, that to me is the point of this whole story of Barney Frank, is that, I mean, he's the very first person who was elected into Congress that was able to get married to another man as a male. He got married to another man while he was in office.
Yep.
Very first.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yep.
It is awesome. I mean, that in itself is a huge accomplishment. And yet, he was not able to come out as an atheist until after he had left office.
Yeah.
And that to me is absurd.
Yeah, and it really is absurd. The fact is that we have to, as atheists, have to feel that we have to hide the fact is we don't believe in deities. I find that sad and repulsive in a lot of ways. But we know that the consequences in certain aspects of certain people's lives, that if we do come out, that we could lose our job, in some cases our lives. And I'm not saying that gay people have it any better. I'm just saying atheism and gay rights are running fairly parallel to each other.
Yeah,
Well, they're a little bit ahead.
Yeah, they're a little bit ahead, yes.
They're a lot of bit ahead.
Okay, they're a lot ahead.
Not to discredit the gay movement at all, because that in itself has been a huge movement and has been very important. And, and I
absolutely.
don't want to take away from that. But at the same time, he was able to come out as a gay man and marry his lover while in office. And yet he had to wait until after he had left office to admit he was an atheist.
Yeah, and I find, like I said before, I find that very sad that he actually felt he had to wait to come out as an atheist after he left office. It is absurd. I find it and sad. Before we get going, if you want to make a donation to the show and you would like to see the commercials go away, please go to patreon.com/Packard Pokes At. And there'll be a link right here at the bottom. If you donate $1 or $2, that would really help me out. And if you go and donate $50, you get a free hat. If you donate $100, you get a free t-shirt. If you donate $200, you get a free sweatshirt. And if you would like to contact us, we're going to give you all that information right now.
Would you like to contact us? Your host, Packard Sonic, and his very honored and crazy co-host, with occasional guest hosts, enjoy your comments or suggestions. You can reach us 28 hours a day, 8 days a week on A Can on a String, Smoke Signals, Star Trek Communicator. Those may not work, but you can contact us on Twitter as Packard Pokes At, and by email at packardpokesat@gmail.com. You can also listen and join in the conversation live Friday nights at 9 p.m. Central Time on vaughnlive.tv/PackardPokesAt. You can find past shows on iTunes, YouTube, Mixler Radio, and Stitcher Radio. Help us out by rating, commenting, subscribing, retweeting, and reposting the show wherever you can. Click the like button on Facebook/PackardPokesAt to join in the conversation. Would you like to help keep the show running and pick up some awesome Packard Pokes At merchandise? Visit cafepress.com/PackardPokesAt today and buy hats, shirts, or one of over 300 other items that are also available. Visit packardpokesat.wordpress.com for links to the news articles covered tonight and more information on this or other episodes. We hope you enjoy the show. Thanks for listening and your support.
And thank you, Joe. Wow, you do that so well.
Thank you. I practice every week.
I know. You get it, the same voice every time.
Practice makes perfect.
Yes.
I always say practice does not make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. But anyway.
I do it in the shower sometimes. I just, talk about Cafe Press and Stitcher and stuff while I'm shampooing my hair.
Got to keep it in good voice.
It helps.
Yes.
It helps. The steam, the vocal cord, it's good.
Yeah. I want to thank everybody for coming and joining us here on the show. And we'll be back next week with our regular longer show. This has been Packard Pokes At. We just poked at your news.
And that's a wrap.